something I've actually had the pleasure of doing quite a few times, is giving an introduction to one of my very dear friends, someone I love very much, Nichol Bradford. Nicole is a video game industry veteran and has spent a long time at high levels in that corporate world. And Nicole made a big shift a number of years ago and devoted her incredible brain power, her incredible capacity to make shit happen, one of the most effective people I've ever met. And she's devoted that to increasing well-being on the planet. And we have worked together in many different capacities over the years and been close friends. Nicole is the co-founder of the Transformative Technology Conference, of the Transformative Technology Lab, of the TransTech 200. She's done a huge amount of work to bring the entrepreneurs together and the startups together and the funding together at the intersection of technology and consciousness, along with others such as Jeffrey Martin. And it's really, her work is unparalleled in the space. So without further ado, I would like to welcome my friend Nichol Bradford to the stage. And you're muted, Nicole.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mikey. I really appreciate being able to join you here. I am going to share my screen. Just give me a second. And whoops. Here we go. All right, so Awaken Futures. When Mikey called me up and suggested and asked if I would give this talk, I was thrilled to give it because there's such a integration and overlap between all of our work. And so I'm just curious if everyone can guess what this is. So this is BC, AD, then before Corona, and then after Corona. And so in the time of after Corona, awakening is even more important than it was before. So this happened. We've seen the fragility of our society. One of the things that's so interesting about this time period is that for the first time in human history, we have had everyone on the planet above a certain age is going to remember this time. We're having a shared experience. And so a little while ago, I asked the question on social, like, what are we going to call it? And, you know, it wasn't a desire to brand it, but it was to make sense of it. And these are some of the, I asked people, what would we call it? And so people gave these ideas, but what we were going to call it, because language is the human operating system. You just heard the wonderful poem by Max. And so, you know, what we call it is actually going to be really important in terms of our ability to rise to it and what that's going to mean. And so the question is, can a shared crisis lead to a shared narrative? A shared crisis lead to a shared narrative. And so even before Corona, this was going on. We had a world that environmentally was out of control, catastrophe, all exponential automation, economic uncertainty, and the way that we were connecting and relating to one another seemed very much out of control. Simultaneously, we also had technology that seemed incredibly out of control and on its own path. So this is still happening. And COVID is now happening. And so then the question is, can we have a shared willingness? Can this shared crisis and the shared experience create a shared willingness to have an inclusive future? Oops. And so a little while ago, I'm on a chat with a lot of people from half of whom are first responders and another group who are public officials. And I felt in myself this desire to go to medical school, you know? And so, because I just felt this like palpable, like wanting to do something. And so I started thinking about, well, you know, it's a little too late for me to go to medical school and I won't be done by the time this is done. So, you know, those are the people who are doing now And maybe I'm on the team that's doing next, and we're all on Team Human. And so Team Now are the healthcare heroes, and they're the essential service providers and the public health officials. And then I also added artists. I don't know if you guys haven't seen The Great Realization by Tom Foolery, watch it. And then also the wonderful work that North Star is doing with maps on We'll Call It Paula. But it's like, I think the artists are also on Team Now because we need to know what to call it and how to express it in order to organize around it. And so then the role of Team Next is, that's the talent at home. Those are the people who were, who are on quarantine. And what your job could be is, how do we help pick up the pieces and redefine what normal is? Because even pre-COVID, there were many things in our society that weren't really serving us. And so who can start doing the work on redefining normal? And how do we make this pause matter? This is not to make light of anything that anyone is going through, but I truly believe, at least for me, suffering, I need suffering to have a meaning. And so how do we make this pause really matter while we're all home and reconsidering what it is that matters to us most? And what is it that we really actually truly deeply want? And how can we start now? Because the people who are on Team Now, they're going to be there for 4 to 18 months working the problem. And so that's too late to start to reimagine some of the things in society that we need to. And so the task list is everything from energy to environment to government, economics, education. This bottom circle is sort of the area that I'm interested in, or that I focus on, with psychological well-being, health, work, well-being, purpose, and potential. But this is the Team Next task list. And so here's a couple of things that I pulled from other people. This is Bilal. He has a great blog, but he talks about his version of, that should be before Corona and after Corona. But this is his vision. And this is sort of a very external of what might happen. You can see his URL at the bottom. And then this is Charlie Hartwell, who you'll hear from later. This is more of an internal one, which I love. Awareness to integration, on the mat to off the mat. Seekers to finders. So, the question here, because Team Next is you, what is your to and from? What is your to and from? And what problem will you choose to solve? And even more so, who do you have to be? Like what awakening do you need to have to step into the ability to solve the problem that is most compelling to you right now? You're part of Next. If you aren't on Team Now, you're on Team Next. And so on Team Next, which problem are you stepping up to? What is your AC vision? So for transformative technology, this is ours, that in the time of AC, well-being is even more important. And that widespread well-being is actually the right tool, or one of them, to bend the arc of human history towards well-being and flourishing. And so this is the spectrum that we look at, from mental and emotional well-being, so people can be healthier, happier, and more resilient, to social and emotional flourishing, which is really tied to the future of work, to human potential and performance. How do we get to the place where we can craft a shared vision that can contain us all? Because nothing changes until human minds change, which is why your awakening, your personal, individual awakening, as you are relating to an AC challenge, is critical. And that's important because without your individual awakening, your ability to join hands with others and create the kind of change that can address all of the Team Next challenges, that is why, even more so, your awakening is more important now than it was even last year. Because people everywhere are struggling. Automation is accelerating. We need the skills that come with greater awareness of ourselves. Human growth and development is really hard. It's very difficult, which is why we include technology. And my fundamental belief is this, and I'll be done in a second, but all of our crises are in exponential curves, and our technology is on exponential curves, but human growth and development, how we learn how to be, feel, and become, is still linear and analog only, for the most part. And so along with the ancient tools and the current tools, we also need the modern tools to help develop in this way. Well-being is an essential skill for work health and human excellence. And so we believe that the mechanism of change is technology, to get this element of ourselves on an exponential curve. Because we envision a world where technology can support our shared well-being and the ability to experience health, connection, and potential. Where technology, or where well-being is as abundant as technology itself, and all humans have the foundation to be well and to flourish. And so that is the question. So everything pre-COVID-19, all of the trends that were rolling towards people wanting awakening, they're even more so now. And we were already trending towards wanting more connection. This is a survey that was done by BCG on what people were looking for. And so preventative healthcare, which is where a lot of the, self-awareness, emotional self-regulation, where a lot of the awakening modalities would fit in if you were trying to map them. It's number 1 or 2, 1, 2, or 3 in all of the big COVID countries. And all the other trends still exist that were leading towards people wanting awakening. The previous time we had extreme social fabric stress, meditation became the fastest growing wellness activity in the US. This was in 2016. And so since this crisis has been 10 times worse, perhaps that means that we can make the future 10 times better. And so as you are attending the panels, keep this in mind, that you can create an unprecedented era of human well-being and flourishing and awakening. And so the real question is, what is your AC? And who will you evolve to in order to bring it into the world? Thank you.